All right, we are very pleased to be, especially as I just binged, not the whole season. I got to note, did not binge the whole thing, but I'm relatively caught up. Zazie, Beetz, how are you? How are we doing? We got to talk Atlanta and many other things, but how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I'm good. Just chilling at home.
Atlanta season 3 is such a. I mean, first of all, one comment off the top. By the way, it does blow my mind that Atlanta's only had 3 seasons. That's a whole other thing. It feels like there's been. I mean, it's been on for years, but it feels like there should be more than 3. But this 3rd season is such a creative leap, and I say that in a good way. It's so different. It feels like inventive. It feels unique, and it has people talking. It got brought up on a road trip that I was on recently, and we talked about it in the car for like an hour about just.
Oh, really?
It's a thought-provoking and enjoyable show in many different ways. How are you feeling about the reaction to this 3rd season?
Honestly, I feel very good and just sort of at peace. I think particularly with, when we were shooting it, we knew that the show was coming to an end. And so I think all of us were able to have sort of that closure, versus shooting. And then you find out later on that it's, not coming back. And, we could really sort of enjoy the final 2 seasons as we were doing it. And so now, honestly, I don't know if people hate it. I'm like, great. So just kind of like, I'm just like, let the world receive. It's no longer ours. It belongs to the world. And I think what's been interesting with season 3, but honestly, we sort of all expected it. I kept telling Donald, I was like, people are going to be so angry with you. I was sort of expecting sort of a mixed bag of reactions. Overall, I feel like it's been a very positive response. The final episode aired last week, which is a van episode. And I just feel, I've gotten such a warm response from that. And that episode shooting it was, which I know you haven't seen it, but that episode shooting it was, I don't know, it meant a lot to me, and to kind of, not that you need validation, but to receive the validation of that, it resonated and meant something to the audience, was really wonderful. And I feel really good. I'm just like, yay, let's just celebrate, and whatever it is, whatever people feel, I'm glad they're having feelings. That's the point. And some people really are like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, great. I'm glad you're feeling anything. So I don't know. Usually I'm very, very critical of my stuff, my work, what I'm in. And I'm kind of just like here for the ride, whatever it is, which is nice.
It's funny because it kind of reminds me when FX in general has so many unique and different shows. It reminds me of like Dave, for example. The last season of Dave was very negative on purpose and people were like, I don't like that. It made me feel this emotion. I'm like, yeah, but isn't that what TV isn't that what
supposed to do? Yeah.
I know we like binging old 90s shows every now and then, but like I feel like it's, now and then you want to be able to have a crazy reaction to a show.
Yeah. And I think exactly. There's different types of movies and different types of shows for different types of things. I don't think anybody who is an Atlanta fan, I would assume, isn't going into Atlanta for escapism. I think there are other shows or other content that will do that for you. I feel like if you're going to watch Atlanta, go into it braced, knowing that you might leave it with some conflicted feelings, whether it's about politics, race, your own experience in life, anxiety, or whatever, mixed in with a couple of jokes. But I think that's what's interesting about Atlanta. It's sort of always towed the line of comedy and drama. It's interesting to see what I think it depends, like on different like platforms, it's listed as a drama, listed as a comedy. I feel like people don't really know what to put it under. But that's what's interesting about it. So all the credit to Donald and the writers and the producers. I'm I came along for the ride of what they were already making. So
I don't think you go into Atlanta expecting like a season of Big Bang Theory or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that, you go there for your escapism.
Exactly. And that has its value,
of course,
totally as well. So I think, I agree with that.
How collaborative is the set of that show? Because it feels like when you watch it, you can hear a lot of different voices beyond just Donald's. Like you could hear a lot of different, I feel like, input in it.
Yeah, I think it's an incredibly collaborative set, which is what's nice about being on that set, which is also why I'm sad that we're not going back. I just I enjoy the company. I enjoy the people. It's an easy, no drama set. And that to me is high on my priority list. Donald really trusts Hero, who's our director. Mm-hmm. They very much speak the same language and how they view comedy or tone and style. They work together a lot. And I think there's just a trust, like they just lean in on each other and try not to get in each other's way or micromanage each other. Donald, his writing team, a lot of them are sort of his best friends, and they just spend time together and hang. And so there's just like a lot of trust with them as well. And, Ibra, he writes, and he is one of Donald's close friends, and he directed one of the episodes as well. And letting people play and have their space to play, which I think in general, that's just a sign of good leadership. But I think for the actors as well, again, what's nice about TV is as they get to know you better, they can start writing for you more specifically. So I think, in season 2, the Van episode was Germany. That was directly tied to sort of my stuff. And then season 3, I think a lot of Van's sort of anxiety journey and identity journey is tied to some of Donald's experiences, but also very much tied to mine. And which is why I feel like I felt very connected to Van this season. And, improv abound. They're always open. There's no religious adherence to the text. Best idea wins. And so, there's malleability and flexibility, which is, the best stuff generally is. I don't think people realize how much things just get rewritten over and over. And then as you shoot it, how things just change depending on what the actors bring to it, because what's on the page is going to be different than the energy a person imbues with the text. So it's a great set, guys. Can only recommend.
Yeah, you can highly recommend trying to join a cast like Atlanta, which is very easy. All sets are and as creative and amazing as Atlanta. When a show, I think, takes off as much as Atlanta, does and has, I think usually a couple cast members are able to or just afforded the luxury of taking that next step into huge hardcore fame. But I think the core 4 of obviously yourself, Glover, Brian Tyree Henry, Lakeith Stanfield, all of you have really gone out and done things that have been hugely successful, both critically and commercially, which has been insane. But I'm curious though, because you're doing all these huge projects all the time. Is it still refreshing to step back and getting back to the start in this way?
Totally. I would say Atlanta now feels like one of those big projects, I guess. In the beginning, I would say, Atlanta completely changed my life. And when we shot the first season, none of us really knew what it was going to be. Donald kept saying I don't, if it gets canceled, that's great. I don't know if that was sort of more defense mechanism or if he really meant it. But I think that, after the first season sort of got all of the attention and the critical acclaim that it did change how we went into it the second season and the third and the fourth, and the kind of frankly budget and additional support you get, but also in terms of just we know we have sort of this larger platform than we realized, and what that means, what you want to say with it. And so, but I would say for me, it does feel very much like coming back to a place of sort of the sacred bond of people where we all came together before all of our lives had sort of a massive shift, right? There's like the before and the after, I think, for all of us with Atlanta. And, there's something special about going through that transition together and being able to have that as the bond, and like being able to check in and be like, yeah, I how are you doing with all of this change? And I know we once joked, like, we're so glad that there isn't like one person like Bob who's like didn't get to go do anything after. We all have been so lucky and fortunate to have been able to continue to blossom in our careers outside of the show. It's just been really, honestly, kind of this blessing overall. And it is, I am sad to say we're not going to come back together again. But I also think it's the right thing, like, end on a presumed high, assuming people are going to enjoy the fourth season. And I think it's cooler to end it. I think it's right. It's nice to not have a TV show just die, but to, wrap it up and move on and do something else. I think that's healthy. So,
yeah. It's what's the quote? Better to burn out than fade away. I think that's like a critical thing for TV more than anything else. Way better to end on a high note than to be dragged out for like a second, or like I feel like
years, whatever. Like I think, this is everything I think ends up suffering. And I don't know, sometimes maybe things redeem themselves briefly, but it's just better to finish rather than just trickling off into nothing, I think, in general in life.
One last thing about Atlanta, I think the show does so well with cameos and with small roles. Like the Liam Neeson one this last season killed me. It was so funny. And like obviously Chet Hanks and like so many more. Yeah. But what was your favorite during the entirety of Atlanta so far, personally?
I would have first said Liam Neeson, but then I don't know, watching Trinity to the Bone. I think the Chet Hanks one, I will say, I think is pretty funny.
I'm from Tribeca. That was so funny. Oh my God.
I think that was just like a really fun plug. I liked that. Do you guys have a favorite of what you were able to see?
I think it might be Liam Neeson for me, at least for this last season. It was just so good.
I think, and that might be because so many Liam Neeson things I've seen, like recently, it's like it's all like kind of the same like type of action, like just like Taken adjacent thing, though, except he did cameo at the end of Ted. He was in Ted 2, right. Actually, I think. He was buying cereal, right? He's buying Lucky Charms, I think. So maybe it's the Liam Neeson cameo that just
that gets you.
It'll always actually I kind of want to follow what you said about ending on kind of like your own accord. Do you like, was there maybe like a fight to keep it going longer? Or is that just a thing where they kind of let Donald and come be like, no, like this is our, where they're like, please, like one more after this, one more after this.
I don't, not that I'm aware of. I don't think so. I think, Donald has a bunch of different things going on in his life with music and different kinds of projects he's wanting to do, is doing now currently as we speak. And so I think I don't know. I think he was kind of ready to sort of lay this one to rest and move on to kind of to other things. And, again, one of the reasons why it took also season 3 so long to get back together was because of conflicting schedules. All of us, we were all working, and it was taking a while to line everything up. And then, COVID happened on top of it and blah, blah, blah. And, I know for me, and I think others as well, like it was always like, okay, is Atlanta going to start now? Okay. And like rearranging everything and having to like stall other projects or not do other projects. And just kind of kept pushing and pushing just because nobody's stuff was aligning. So I feel like, I don't know. I feel like we're all just we're busy, and Donald is busy, and I think he has a lot of interests, a lot of things he wants to do, and shifting priorities. So Not that I know that I don't think there was a push to do more. We have joked about like maybe in 10 years we do a Christmas special or something. I could see that happening. I think I would do it.
That sounds fun. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Sounds Atlanta-esque to me as
Very.
well. Yeah. So I can see that on the horizon perhaps. And who knows?
What is the most common question you get, and why is it probably what I'm about to ask you? Well, no, actually, I'm going to ask you about the question instead of ask you the question. Is the Deadpool 2 question the most asked thing you get? Like, is that up there with?
I get that asked a lot. Yeah, I do. And
it has to be. There's just nothing you can say that's a satisfying answer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is because my knowledge of it is just as unsatisfying as whatever answer I'm going to give. I truly. I have no idea if I'm going to be in it, what the story, I have zero. Ryan did pitch to me when we were shooting Deadpool 2, a Deadpool 3 script, or not pitched, but told me sort of what he had at the time. This was 5 years ago. I don't know what the script, if it's the same or not, or who or what. I don't know if, so I have no idea. I can only cross my fingers and hope that I'll be a part of it, but we'll see.
I do want to know, we have been lied to about this so many times in recent interviews. Who was it? Was it Jason Clarke? We were talking about Oppenheimer, and they broke literally the minute he left that he had joined Oppenheimer.
We have a really bad track record on this show of talking to somebody and then days later something happens. J.K. Simmons, we were like, would you ever go back and be J. Jonah Jameson? Then he was in Spider-Man. We talked to Will Poulter. We're like, you ever do a Marvel movie? He was casting Guardians. Like, it just, so I'm not guaranteeing you, like, the second this ends, you're going to get a call from Ryan Reynolds and be like, hey, it's on. Like, we're
it's
filming.
On, let's do it.
I'm just saying, if it happens, just know it's like, we're not a curse. We're like, good luck. We just curse.
Yeah, great luck. Yeah, exactly.
You're great luck for everyone. But
we don't get to ever break the news. It's just like, I want one day, and maybe you don't do this because it might be career suicide. I want one day for you to get like or somebody in like the comic book circle, because we ask it too. And it's the dumbest question that any podcaster can ask. It's like, would you be in this $1 billion franchise again? But I want someone like yourself to just be like, no. Just deadpan be like, no, I have no interest. And just see the reaction. Because it's always, we have to ask it, but it's great. I want to ask about another movie related to Deadpool 2. What were the seeds of Bullet Train? Did that kind of start with Deadpool 2? Because Bullet Train is a movie that I know I don't know what, it got delayed again, but I know that I just saw it in theaters for a trailer, and then there was a little buzz in the theater about it. I think a lot of people are very excited. We're in that camp. We're kind of the seeds for that. Obviously, Brad Pitt had a cameo in Deadpool 2.
Yeah. So Bullet Train, I got called to join that. I think because I did know David and Kelly, who's his wife, also his producer. That wasn't anything sort of that I was aware of percolating while we were shooting Deadpool 2 or anything. But I think what's interesting is, David used to be Brad Pitt's stunt double, and it's just like interesting to sort of see him growing into director, and them watching them work together was really fun. But honestly, what was cool about Bullet Train was it was a lot of the same crew that did Deadpool 2. So it did kind of feel like, oh, hey guys, coming back into it, and just like a warm team to come back to. And again, similar kind of, action, funny, a little slapsticky kind of stuff. And so, similar, I guess, Deadpool-y vibe in a way. And I'm excited I haven't seen it yet or anything. So but I think it's going to be really funny. I mean, Brad is just so funny. You're like, there's a reason why he's doing what he's doing. He's good at it.
Right.
And Brian, obviously he's just great. And because Brian from Atlanta is in it. And so it's just like it's just fun. Fun all-star cast.
Big time.
Yeah.
The pressing Joker question I want to ask actually has nothing to do with the movie. Were you at the Venice Film Festival when that movie debuted?
Yes, I was.
Can you explain what an 8-minute standing ovation is like? Is that a real thing? Is that exaggerated? I look forward to all those film festivals just to see which movie gets like it was The Irishman. They're like they stood up for 20 minutes. Like,
yeah.
Is it awkward? Is it?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you don't really, I guess, know what to do. I don't feel like, ovation isn't for me. It's Todd and Joaquin, and then not wanting to get in their sort of their way. But it was for me, just the whole experience itself is kind of this like warm, wonderful blur. I love Venice. I've been to Venice, not necessarily the festival, but just Venice multiple times in my life. I have a very sort of nostalgic, I went with my dad multiple times with friends. I had like some really wonderful experiences there. And so I have this very warm feeling about Venice. And then the festival itself, it's just like, guys, it's just like the middle of fucking summer in Italy and you're in boats and like wearing just like beautiful clothing. You're walking or like, there's just like nothing about it that's not just absolutely magnificent if you're into that kind of thing. And I was there with a bunch of, people I love. And then I was just always so passionate about this movie, and to premiere it in this sort of place that was also special to me. I feel like it was all just kind of this like blur of experience. And I think this sort of 8-minute standing ovation, I think kind of plays into that and is kind of, but yeah, I mean, you're standing there and it's an interesting, yeah.
But do you have to like clap a little bit yourself? Like it's my favorite.
I mean, yeah, I guess you're kind of just, it plays over from the credits into after, and I don't know who's timing it. I guess I wouldn't think to be like, let me pull out a timer. But yeah, but again, yeah, I mean, Joaquin and Todd, they did a great job. It's a good movie. I think. And yeah. So
my pressing question I'm just glad I finally got an answer on it. It's just I've wondered for life. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say something that's very interesting for, I guess, you, because you have a couple of superhero credits under your belt now. And multiple different things, including Invincible, which I would love to talk to you about next too. But what is your weirdest interaction so far with a comic book fan? Because every time we ask someone that's involved in comic book movies, they all have like one where they're like, yeah, I was at a urinal and a guy like just went over next to me in a row of like 20 urinals. So it's like, hey, what's up? You were Superman, right? And this is like, everyone has a story like that.
I mean, I'm always so bad for like stuff like this. I would say it is always very jarring when people start crying in general, just because you're like, oh my goodness, you want to take care of them. We also understand it's sort of this overwhelming moment. I've had people wake me up on the subway. I live in New York and I take the subway and sometimes I sleep on the subway. And I've definitely had people like shake me awake, be like, hey, like, are you that girl from da-da-da? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And it's just interesting. Like people, I think really, I don't know. Yeah. It's like, I think it is maybe just this like weird, you feel like, somebody, or they feel like they know you. And so they can people will come up to you and do stuff like that. But, yeah, I would say I remember feeling very like, oh, wow, I was in my slumber and you awoke me. I feel like that was a little odd.
You gotta have a quick reflex though, too, because I feel like you can't like snap at somebody. You'd be like, oh crap, I gotta act like
yeah. I have to say, I always I always have to, I'm always very appreciative of like fans and people who love the work. And sometimes that can be a little bit harder if I'm in the middle of doing something. You know, people often will, if I'm on the phone, they'll interrupt me and be like, hey, can I do a photo, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, can you not see I'm like engaged in something?
Mm-hmm.
But then I always have to be like, oh, okay, I think this is a moment for somebody. And usually also, I don't know, I feel like I'm lucky that I feel like a lot of my fans, I feel like, are often really like thoughtful, kind people. I'm also not in a position, I'm not like Kim Kardashian, like getting hounded constantly. You know,
Right.
I can still live my life, and it happens, certainly, for sure. Like especially I live in Harlem, and I get stopped all the time, but it's not completely like disruptive to my life. And so I'm like, let me make the time for it. This is a part of it. And to also meet people. I have to say, like, Comic Cons, actually, I love Comic Cons. It's so cool to sort of see actually have a space to like put faces to people versus
Right.
I'm just trying to do my shit and then somebody's interrupting me. But like, to be like, yes, let's take the time and talk and meet and to really sort of see the people who are like who are supporting and who are moved by this stuff. So blah blah blah. I'm rambling. Sorry.
We'll fix this by starting a rumor that you knocked someone out in the subway for waking you up while you were asleep.
Yeah.
And then you want
No one will do it again.
Give me some street cred. Maybe get me cast in another action movie.
I did mention Invincible before. I think that show is one of the best comic book properties running right now. It is so goddamn good. And your character, Amber, kicks ass. And like I think one of the best moments of the show is her stomping on Invincible's reveal of his superpowers. Like, oh man, I'm actually invincible. Yeah, I know. I know you have superpowers. I know what you are. Is there anything you can tell us about season 2? Because I think the only thing we know right now is that they only just recently did the recording sessions for it. I think Stephen Yeun just posted a picture of him recording, but what can you tell us?
Yeah, I've recorded some for it as well. I mean, I can't really say much, but I think that, it's just like, I guess like season 1, I don't know, the stories are, I think, interesting and surprising. If it, follows elements of the comic as well. So if you're a fan, there are things that follow through with that. And so obviously I can't say anything, but we are recording it. And so I'm assuming it will get made fully.
See, I like that though, because normally when we interview a Marvel actor, it's like we get the sort of vibe that there's a guy from Marvel standing off screen with like a shotgun to their head, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be really good." But like Invincible doesn't have the Kevin Feige stormtroopers off to the side, so
yeah. But yeah, no, Invincible. It's a cool show. I like watching it too. It's just like I like animations for adults. I think it's like a fun, you can kind of be more, I don't know, you can be more imaginative. I don't know, like Rick and Morty even. Like I like stuff like that.
Super creative, yeah.
This is not even a question. I just kind of want to hype up one of your movies from last year that we interviewed Tony Hale about it. That was 9 days from last year.
Oh my gosh.
That was I thought one of the best releases of last year. It was such like,
oh, I can't believe you guys watched it. Yeah.
It's so good. Oh my God.
We watch everything. But because of that, we get to see things that maybe, are not as hyped up as much as some of the bigger, but 9 days we've hyped it up for a while. We talked to Tony Hale about it.
Yeah.
We interviewed him. We got to screen it, and we were like, "Oh my God, this is deep. This got some emotion to it."
Yeah, that movie. So me and my partner are actually both in it. My partner plays as sort of the artistic character, Michael. And I think maybe because of that as well, like, I don't know, that movie sort of means a lot to me. But I don't know. I think also what happens is like it was an indie, and then it's like indies. I feel like. Or smaller indies are just, it's such a team effort and such a sort of, everybody coming together and doing the best with like limited time, limited budget, limited resources. And, it was this director, Edson Oda, who's such a kind person. It's his first feature. And so, I think we're all just like rallying for each other. And so you just really kind of bond. And it's interesting. Well, I guess, yeah. Well, you know, and Bill, we became close with Bill Skarsgård. And it's just interesting because me and my partner have individually now met. I don't want to.
Almost all the Skarsgård clan. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've met like 3 of the brothers, but like never together. And it's like, it's just funny. Like that movie was like one of those things. And yeah, that movie, you know, I think for me, that character, or I don't know. I'm always into like exploring mental health and existentialism and life questions. I just find them interesting for myself, and just in general in art, I crave engaging in that kind of content. And so, yeah, 9 days, I think, felt like this very life affirming kind of thing. And for me, you know, there were some acting challenges that I enjoyed exploring. So I love you guys watched it. I loved it.
I loved it. We recommended it heavily when it came out.
Yeah, we recommended it big. So if you're listening, you have not seen it, again, reminder, 9 days. And also, as we wrap up here, Atlanta, FX, and Hulu, season 3. Season 4, sounds like it's not that far away, but won't pry too much. So thank you so much. You have so much on the horizon. Hopefully we get to talk to you again.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. And yeah, I hope to chat.
We could do a full 30 minutes on 9 days next time.
Great, yeah. I can unpack all of that.
Thank you.
Right,
thank you.
Bye.